All right, so I'm building my wife's new bike while I'm starting the build. We're still waiting for the frame to come from Peru. And I'm going to color match the suspension to kind of keep the color theme the same on the bike. So I thought I'd start by working on this. All right, and here's the finished shock. It's a Fox Factory DHX we're starting out with a 450 coil on it. We'll see how that works out. You can see I changed the colors on it, so hopefully she'll like this. Alright, and there you go. Fox 34 Factory Fit 4 damper, color matched to the DHX and hopefully the rest of her bike. There you go. Alright, well, the frame finally came. This is going to be an enduro trail duro build for my wife. It took several months to come from Peru. We ordered it in April of 2024 and we just received it today, and today is August 4th, 2024. Some details about it. I would put this as like a very progressive medium. It's a 460 reach, 440 chainstay, 380 seat tube, and it's got a 79 degree seat tube and a 64 degree seat angle. My wife is 5'6", so this should be a good size for her. We wanted to go with a longer chainstay for more stability this time. The build's going to be a lot of new parts and a lot of parts we've coming off of other builds. And so I just wanted to show you guys a little more detail. Okay, this is pretty much exactly how the frame came. So I'll just kind of show you details in regards to it. All of the insides of all the tubes have been reamed out. They are fairly dirty and will require significant cleaning before we install parts on it. Same with the bottom bracket. You can see there's a lot of dust in there. And the same with the head tube. So that'll all be cleaned and oiled prior to having their requisite parts installed. It did come with a seat clamp, which we will not be using for the build. We use a little wood block to hold the frame together, which is nice. The bearings are pretty standard size, easily replaceable. It also did come with a replacement main pivot, so the bearings would go on each side of that, and there's some cap head screws that look like they screw into that. It is kind of a rough finish on it. In addition to that, it also came with two 15 by 110 axles and two SRAM UDH hangers, as that's what we elected to use on this build. Other than that, we got post mount 160 that will be adapted to run 203 rotors, although I only have a plus 40 mount brake adapter right now, so we're going to have to play around with that to get that to fit. And we elected for a 44 millimeter head tube, and we will be running a standard fork in here. All right. Build is done. It's the next night, and we're finally finished. I did omit some steps from the time lapse. I didn't show installing the pedals, the seat, or cutting the brake line and bleeding the brakes, but that was done off camera. Overall, the build went fairly smoothly. All the threads seemed to be chased nicely, and with the prep work and cleaning that I did on it, everything went into place fairly well. One issue I did encounter is that this frame has PM180, and I was anticipating PM160, as that's what was on a previous Marino frame that I had ordered. So the mounts I had were they weren't going to work for what I wanted. I wanted 203 millimeter rotors on here, and I only had a plus 43 for the back and a plus 23 for the front. So I ended up going around that and just using some 180 mil rotors with no spacers, and no spacers does look better, so that worked out. The other issue I encountered is the front shock mount on the frame. On the other one I had ordered, it was a 22.2 mil. Everything's slotted into place perfectly. I think he changed it to 20 mil. After I removed some of the powder coat from the inside there, I was able to get it to fit. It's a little tight, but I think it'll be fine. The suspension works nicely, so I'm not too concerned on that. For the build, we kind of went, I don't know, a mix of a few high-end items, but mostly mid and budget. We went with the SRAM GX crank set. It's a 165 mil with a standard SRAM dub bottom bracket. We did go with a 5-dev 32 tooth chainring, which I think that's our little bit of bling on the bike. It's a standard Shimano Diore 11-speed drivetrain. I think everyone knows about these. They're really good. They're really budget friendly, and there's no, as far as I'm concerned, there's really no reason to go anything beyond this, especially at the skill level we're at right now. For wheel sets, we did a DT Swiss 370 hubs. This has been upgraded to have the 54 tooth ratchet driver on it, so it's got pretty good engagement. Not perfect, but pretty good. Rims are Velocity Blunt 35s. They seem to be really good rims from what we can see so far. Specialized Butcher T9 tires in 29 by 2.6 with tan wall. They look really cool. Not sure how they'll work. I've never used Specialized tires before. Usually use Maxxis, but these were on sale at Jensen, and they looked pretty cool. And I think they do look really nice on the bike, so we went with them. One issue we did have was the dropper post. This is a 1-up 180 mil. It's a first gen one, so it's an old one that I had from an old bike from a long time ago. We did determine that my wife could use a 180 mil with this size frame, but that was under the assumption that we could get it bottomed out all the way. And we thought we could until we went to cable it and saw that because of this location of this inlet for the cable housing, it's actually sitting a little proud of where we thought it would be, so that this is pretty much the insertable depth that we could get on it. And so to counter that, we're going to have to find some long discontinued travel limiting shims that 1-Up made that go under this collar here to try to knock the seat down by about 25 mils. For the front of the bike, wheel set very similar. As discussed, we went 180 front rear. It is nice with no adapters on any of the brake mounts. Went with the Fox 34 factory with the Fit 4 damper. We figured we'd go with the Fit 4 damper because I don't think my wife wants to spend a ton of time tuning a Grip X or Grip 2 or whatever damper, because those are pretty time consuming. Wolf Tooth headsets are great. I use them on all my bikes. However, this is the first time I've done a tapered fork with a 44 mil head tube, and so it has an external bottom cup. It's pretty cool. We'll see how that works out. I'm sure it'll be fine. Just a cheap fun stem. It's 35 mil length. It's again a used part from our garage, a Race Face turbine 35 bar. That's 20 mil rise. And we're also trying this Wolf Tooth 360 dropper lever. I usually use the standard Wolf Tooth dropper lever, and I'm not convinced of this one so far, but we'll see how it works out. And another item, the last item, are these grips, just standard ergon grips. I like the translucent color, they're pretty cool, but I'm usually not a fan of oil slick. However, it does seem to match this bike. So we just went with it, and I think it works well. So overall, here's the bike. I think it looks great. I think it's one of the better bikes I've made, and I'm happy with it. Again, the geometry, it's a 460 reach. It's a 440 chainstay. It's a 370 seat tube with a 79 degrees seat tube angle. It's got a 100 mil head tube, and I think those are all pretty much the main geometry numbers on it. It has a 25 mil drop on the bottom bracket. It has a 15 mil offset on the bottom bracket, and then it's 120 mil travel for the frame, and the fork is a 140. We kind of took inspiration from a Nikolai G1 in the size, I think like a medium or a small size, I think. So that's kind of where this came from. It's very progressive. However, it's kind of a low travel, but very progressive geometry bike. So it should be interesting, should be fun. Obviously she hasn't ridden it yet, but I will get her feedback and do a follow-up video on how it rides. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much.